10. First, the highlights. Lagos State Government takes Budget Consultative Forum to Ikorodu Division. President Tinubu rallies National Security Advisor, Monarchs, as hunger protest looms. And Warrington, French rail company laments vandalization of high-speed train hours before opening ceremony of Paris Olympics. And in sport, former Nigerian international expresses confidence in Super Falcons despite loss to Brazil in Paris Olympic 2024 women's football event. And now the details. I am Mike James. As part of its efforts to engage the masses and ensure social inclusion, the Lagos State Government has taken the year 2025 Budget Consultative Forum to the Ikorodu division of the state. This engagement, which is the third in its series, had earlier been carried out in Ikeja and Lagos divisions. The Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, Okpe George, said the annual forum was an avenue to interact with the people at the grassroots through the traditional rulers who are closest to the people. George stated that the essence of the forum was to get feedback from the people to know what they want the government to impute into the 2025 budget. He had this to say.
So we're always very happy to hear from traditional rulers, and we find every time we come to Ikorodu, we get a lot of value from what our traditional rulers tell us and give us. So from last year, there were a lot of things they mentioned, which we came back, which is giving a progress update report on. And this year as well, they brought up some more points which they want us to look into. And, traditional rulers are the ones closest to the people, so they know what the people want. So every year we come, we listen to them, they give us the information people want, and we take it back and we put it into the budget. So going forward this year, we've heard from them. They've given us a lot of positive feedback, a lot of positive information, which we will then take back to the office.
George added that the main purpose of the forum was to make the government accountable to the people. And the Lagos State Parking Authority LASPA has warned the public to desist from the willful vandalism of its parking signages erected throughout the state. This warning follows the apprehension of the suspect identified as Friday John, who was arrested while attempting to sell parking signages on Sasegmo Street, Ikeja, GRA. A statement from the agency says vandalism of parking signages poses a threat to public safety, disrupts the smooth flow of traffic, and creates inconvenience for drivers seeking parking spaces. LASPA, while condemning such acts in the strongest terms, restated its commitment to taking all necessary measures to prevent and address these incidents, reassuring the public of its commitment to enhancing the parking infrastructure in the state. The federal government has repatriated 158 irregular Nigerian migrants from Libya. Nigeria's charged their affairs to Libya, Mohammed, who made this known, said the evacuees comprised 77 males, 45 females, 26 children and 10 infants. The envoy explained that of the total number, 26 males were arrested from the ongoing raid of undocumented foreigners in Libya and were released from Abu Salim Detention Center in Tripoli. According to him, so far 1,776 stranded Nigerians have returned home. Mohammed said that the repatriation was a collaborative effort of the mission and the Libyan authorities. He said that the collaboration was under the International Organization for Migration, under the organization's voluntary humanitarian repatriation. And moving on to the rest of the stories, President Bola Tinubu has held emergency meetings with the All Progressives Congress state governors, prominent traditional rulers and religious scholars at the Aso Rock Villa, Abuja, as part of efforts by the government to ensure the planned hunger protest slated for August 1 to 10 is averted nationwide. This meeting follows an earlier one by the Nigerian Governors Forum on Wednesday night and comes after a last-minute cancellation of the National Economic Council meeting earlier scheduled for Thursday afternoon. Tinubu reiterated his administration's dedication to democratic values and the rule of law, vowing never to support protests that lead to destruction of lives and properties. He reflected on his own experiences as a pro-democracy activist who participated in peaceful protests against the military dictatorship during Nigeria's transition to democracy, arguing that protests fueled by anger and hate could degenerate into violence and set the country backward. The president emphasized the importance of maintaining 25 years of unbroken democracy while acknowledging the role of demonstrations in a democratic society. Speaking after the meeting, the traditional rulers present urged the organizers of the protest to seek dialogue with the federal government, warning that there was a possibility of the protest being hijacked by hoodlums. The Lagos State House of Assembly has called on Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu to call on major stakeholders for an emergency meeting to address the issue of a planned protest by some Nigerians. The lawmakers also urged the governors to call on lawmakers representing Lagos at the federal level to engage members of their constituent to be wary of the intended gathering. The majority leader, Noheem Adams, said who raised this on the matter of urgent public importance also appealed to the youth in the state not to be part of the protest. Adams noted that if the protest will happen, it should be done differently in all local governments not coming together in the same place. Some other lawmakers in their contributions appealed to the youth to shelve the planned protest, adding that the people behind the protest should come out and dialogue with the government. They said the experience of the NSAS protest should not be forgotten in a hurry, adding that what happened in Kenya should not be allowed in Nigeria, especially as President Bola Tinubu's administration is trying to ameliorate the suffering of the masses. Speaker of the House, Mudashiru Obasa, who presided over the plenary, said it is important that each state takes a step to make provisions in order not to allow the protest to result to violence. Our correspondent, Abiola Fagbolagun, quotes the Speaker as also saying that though protest is allowed by law, but violence and vandalism must not be entertained. Meanwhile, security forces have put their men on red alert to forestall anarchy, which they say is the intention of promoters of the planned protest against the economic crisis. In separate interactions, the Defense Headquarters and the Secret Police said the planned protest is not intended to be peaceful. The Department of State Services, DSS, said the ultimate objective of those planning the nationwide protest is a change of government at the center. Also, the DHQ said its intelligence revealed that some unscrupulous elements are bent on hijacking the planned protest for violent purposes. And in some foreign news, hours after the opening ceremony of the Paris Olympics, French rail company SNCF says its high-speed network has been targeted by malicious acts aimed at paralyzing the system. Several high-speed TGV lines have been hit to the west, north and east of Paris, and queues are formed at Montparnasse station, which serves destination to the west of the capital. Transport Minister Patrice Fegre has strongly condemned criminal acts that he said would affect people's holiday plans. A number of trains have been cancelled, and SNCF has warned that the situation could last at least all weekend while repairs are conducted. The sports minister described the attacks as downright appalling, adding that the impact on the public and Olympic athletes was currently being assessed. And more than 300,000 spectators are expected in the heart of Paris for an opening ceremony that will see thousands of Olympic athletes sailing down the river Seine. And in sports news, former Nigerian international Aloy Agu says he's optimistic the Sport Falcons will bounce back to win in ways against Spain in their second group game at the Paris Olympic women's football event. Agu said the Super Falcons were impressive against Brazil despite losing by 1-0. He stated that the Super Falcons will learn from their mistakes and bounce back against Spain. The only goal of the game was scored in the first half through Gabby Nunes. And that was our news at 10, but just before we go, stay alive. Make use of pedestrian bridges where available. You can follow us and like all our various social media platforms: X, Traffic Radio 961, Facebook, Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM, Instagram, Lagos Traffic Radio 961. Subscribe and watch our news and programs live on YouTube, Traffic Radio 961. You can also visit our website, www.trafficradio961.ng. Did you know that the Sanwo-Olu administration initiated 500 hectares rice farm technology intervention project? You can get more details. It's on the Lagos State Government website. And to end the news, here are the highlights of the major stories. As part of its efforts to engage the masses and ensure social inclusion, the Lagos State Government has taken the year 2025 budget consultative forum to the Ikorodu division of the state. President Bola Tinubu has held emergency meetings with the All Progressives Congress, state governors, prominent traditional rulers, and religious scholars at the Aso Rock Villa, Abuja, as part of efforts by the government to ensure the planned hunger protests slated for August 1 to 10 is averted nationwide. We also told you that hours before the opening ceremony for the Paris Olympics, French rail company SNCF said its high-speed network has been targeted by malicious acts aimed at paralyzing the system. In sports, former Nigerian international Aloy Agu said he's optimistic the Super Falcons will bounce back to winning ways against Spain in their second group game at the Paris Olympic women's football event. And for contacts with the newsroom, send a message to info@trafficradio961.ng. That ends the news broadcast. It was compiled by Coyote Mafalashiri. Thank you so much, Lagos, for listening. My name is Mike J.